The purpose of this screencast is to learn how to create a Google form to use for gathering assessment data from students. So you'll want to start in your Google Drive, and you'll go up here to New, scroll down to More, and then choose Google Forms. And it'll open in a new tab, and it always defaults to this screen. The first thing you'll want to do is title your form. So I'll just call it Survey. And it'll be titled down here also. I could put a description of my form here, but it's not necessary. So the very first question, it always defaults to multiple choice. And the really nice thing is there are lots of different question types that are available on Google Forms. You can choose the type of question that you'd like before you start typing your question, or the really cool thing is it'll anticipate what type of question it will be based on what you start to type. So I'm starting to type, how comfortable are you? And you'll notice that it now has become a linear scale question. It's anticipating that I'm going to ask a question like on a scale of 1 to 5, for example. It defaults to 1 to 5, but I could change it on a scale of, so how comfortable are you with using Google Forms? And 1 could be not very comfortable, and 10 could be extremely comfortable. And if I want this question, if I want whoever's taking this form to answer the question, I have to click that it is a required question. Oh, and I just remembered, if you don't ask for the person to give their name, you won't know who is answering the form. So when you are giving this with students, you always want the first question to be, what is your name? And it will default to a short answer question, require it, so they cannot submit this without answering that question, and you always want to start with what is your name. So when you want to add another question, you just click the plus sign. You can reorder the questions as you see fit. And when you see the red star here, that means that you have made it a mandatory and required question. So here, choose all true statements. So this is a checkbox question where there could be more than one right answer. So the sky is blue, grass is green, trees are pink. So they would be able to select all of the answers that are true. So a checkbox is similar to multiple choice but slightly different. So I'll require that. If you want to duplicate a question, right here is the duplicate. So maybe I want all my answer options to be the same, but I want the question to be different. So I just duplicate it, and maybe now I'll just change the word true to false. So now they have to choose all of the false statements. Those aren't really two very good questions to have on a quiz, but it just shows that you can easily duplicate a question and then just switch one small thing about it. So, and it is already required. There are longer answer responses, short answer responses. There are drop-down questions. So if I want to make this a drop-down, kind name, and once you've added your questions, if you want to preview and see what it will look like in actual survey form, you can see what it's like from the perspective of the person taking the survey. So it'll show all the questions in the format that you've created. And then they always have to submit when they're done. So right now this isn't ready to be sent because I want to change. You can change the color up here. If you go to the color palette, you can change it to be a different color, or you can go to this icon here and play around with the different banners. So there's lots and lots of different options. Sometimes they're themed. They might go specifically with what you're teaching, or it might be something more just like a color pattern. So I'll just select this one. So once I've created all of the questions and I'm ready to put this out to students, I'll go to the send button, and the easiest way to share is through a link. You can shorten the URL if you want to, but you don't have to, but you just copy it and then paste it into whatever platform you use to share links with students easily. Google Classroom would be a perfect place to copy the link. That way when the students log in, they just click on the link, the survey opens up, and they can go through and answer the questions. So these are really sort of the basics on how to create a Google form. As always, I would encourage you to click on the different options, play around with the different question types, see what you can come up with and realize, because there really are a lot of ways that you could use this to gather data from students. Super quick, just want to go over a sample form that I gave to be able to look at responses. As students start to submit their answers, a number will pop up here next to responses to show you how many people have taken the form. So I have a sample here, a form that I gave a survey, and 14 people took the survey. So when I click on the questions tab, it'll show the questions that I created. When I click on the responses tab, I'll be able to see some graphs that summarize the data for me, how people answered the different questions. This is the written portion. I can also kick it out to a Google Sheet where it creates a new spreadsheet for me. And in spreadsheet format, it'll show me, I didn't ask people to give their names for anonymity, so normally the names would be in this first column if that was your first question. And then it'll show what each individual person said for each individual question. If this were something that I had given to students and it were being put into my gradebook, I like to go through and color code to show if they answered the question correctly or not. So for example, if the correct answer was 5, I might color it green to show that they would get a P for that. If 4 was close but not quite, maybe that's in progress, I might color code it as yellow. If somebody had put a 1, for example, I might color code it as red to show that it's incorrect or not making progress. You don't have to do that, but it's a nice strategy for making it visually easy to see how students are doing on the assessments. So, as always, I would encourage you to hop onto Google Forms, give it a try, and hopefully these basics are enough for you to feel comfortable with just going ahead and getting started.